Hello from realtydealscout.com. This is day one of finding deals through Realty Deal Scout. I'm going to share a deal a day for the next 30 days through Realty Deal Scout and really get into the weeds on how I analyze and underwrite deals for my investment portfolio. Let's just dive right in. Scout on Realty Deal Scout. And you can see right here, and I'm just going to dive into a specific real estate investment location that I typically look at, which is in Tyler, Texas, which is 75701 Texas. And my buy box is anything between $50,000 to $200,000 for investment property. I'm going to keep the beds between 2 and 5. I look primarily at single family in this case, and I'm looking at off-market foreclosures. I'm going to keep my down payment at 20%. I will adjust the property taxes to about 2%. And I'm going to keep pretty much everything else the same. Maybe the property taxes is about $1,000 and the insurance, is about $1,000. And then the cap rate and the cash on cash is about 5%. I'm going to hit find investment properties. What's happening here is the AI agent is going to go out and scan through all MLS and off-market listings and look to identify specific investment opportunities based on my criteria as well as my buy box. And as you can see, it's analyzing the market condition and then it's going to scan through everything. And I'll show you all of this in just a minute as it does its magic. So you can see it's kind of shortlisted a bunch of properties, and I'll just scroll up to show you what exactly it pulled up. So it's got about 38 MLS listings and about 5 off-market foreclosure properties, totaling about 43 in this case. And it's basically gone through each one of these addresses and done a full analysis on it to see what the score is. And I'm going to go scroll down and show you what it's going to shortlist here. So of the 43 properties it analyzed, it's pulling up the first one, which is 2435 Rogers Drive, and it's still doing its analysis of potentially a few other properties to see what it comes back with. And you can see here the first property pulled up, it's got a score of about 93 because the cap rate is pretty high, as well as the cash on cash is about 15%. And the second one it is pulling up is close to $100,000. Again, good cap rate and cash on cash. And we can dive into one of these properties to show you what it looks like. I'm going to dive into this one specifically, but before I do, I just want to show you what the other ones it's pulling up here. So the third one it pulled up is about $130,000. The cap rate is pretty good, but the cash on cash is close to 6.8%, score of about 69. It's come into the category of consider. The first two is strong buys, and it's pulling up a few others here. The fourth one it pulled up is a pass because it didn't pass the cash on cash return and that I had put in my buy box, and gives a lower cash flow for based on my buy box. I'm going to dive into one of these. Let's just look at this property here. And what it pulls up directly is a deal flow analysis. And this is where you can really start to look at the numbers in a lot more detail after the initial scan. You can now look at comparable sales comparables of similar properties that sold in the area. And you can see a lot of them sold at about 250, 350 in a similar zip as well. What is most important here that I know about is like the rehab budget. What this does is it analyzes this particular property, the images, the property details, the age of the home, to come back with a detailed budget recommendation for your rehab. And it gives you a line by line estimation of what that rehab will look like based on all of this. What is really great about this is it also gives you a full breakdown of all the assumptions the AI agent made for coming back with a clear assumption. So in this case, you can see the recommendation about 42,000. I'm going to go with this estimate and see what my cash flow looks like. So you can see the cash flow really dropped from what it was previously to $214, simply because there's a lot of work that needs to be done on this property. But still, we're still in a good cash flow position, still relatively lower than what I needed at about 5%. So I'm getting about 4.71% in this case. The rest of the metrics look pretty healthy in this case. And I'm also going to look to see what my rental estimate looks like. What this is doing is it's going to pull from a couple of sources. It's going to pull from the market benchmark, and it's also going to pull what the market comparables look like. My estimation of what was about 1,500. What it shows me here is anything between 1,675 all the way to close to $2,700. Obviously, you don't want to underwrite for the high end of the spectrum. So I'm going to go for something relatively on the lower end of the spectrum. So 1675 is what I'll pick here. And I am also going to see if there's any other assumptions I need to adjust here, this all looks pretty good. Annual insurance is pretty good. Maintenance, capex, reserves, and my property management at about 10%. So I'm getting about after all of these assumptions have been updated, I'm getting about $346 in monthly cash flow, healthy cash on cash, and cap rate at about 8%. And I would go ahead and make an offer on this deal. So this is how I go about identifying as well as underwriting my deal end to end for this given property and for this given neighborhood. So if you found this helpful, please give it a thumbs up, and please let me know in the comments if you want me to run a search in your zip code in my next video. Thank you for your time.